"You should be grateful we let you stay here," my sister said. I was holding a folder with 8 years of receipts, all in her name. Gratitude was about to get very expensive. My sister, Sarah, didn't even look up from her phone. She was scrolling through Instagram, a half-empty wine glass sweating on her granite countertop. The kitchen smelled like lemon polish and entitlement. "Jake's field trip for the robotics team is $500, she'd said. "Just Venmo it to me, title it Jake's School Stuff," she said. I stood there, my hand gripping the worn, elastic-bound accordion file. It was 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. I'd just gotten home from my 12-hour night shift as a hotel auditor. My eyes burned. My back ached. Before we continue, please like this video and subscribe to the channel to help us create more videos like this. Done that? Great. Back to the story. "Sarah," I said, my voice quiet. "What? I'm busy." "I'm not paying for it." That got her attention. She looked up, her perfectly arched eyebrows knitting in confusion. "What do you mean you're not paying? It's for Jake, your nephew." "I'm not paying for the trip, Sarah, or the mortgage this month, or the electric bill." She laughed, a short, barking sound. "Tom, don't be dramatic. You live here for free. What else are you spending your little night shift money on?" Something cold and hard settled in my chest. It was the click of a lock falling into place. For 8 years, I'd been the grateful one, the lucky one, the family charity case. What she didn't know is that bookkeepers are by nature meticulous, and I'd been a bookkeeper long before I was her free nanny. I didn't say another word. I just turned, walked to the front door, and left. Her shouting my name followed me down the driveway, but for the first time, it had no power. I sat in my 15-year-old Honda, the engine ticking as it cooled. I opened the folder. 8 years. Every grocery run, every copay for my nephews Jake and Leo, every utility bill, every emergency $300 for her car payment, all paid from my bank account, and all meticulously cross-referenced with the tax ID of Harris Family Solutions, LLC. Her brilliant little tax dodge. Her fatal mistake. It started 8 years ago with a fire. Not a big one, but it was enough. An electrical fire in my apartment building's wall. I lost everything to smoke and water damage. My landlord declared the place unlivable. At the same time, the accounting firm I worked for was downsizing. I was redundant. So there I was, 32 years old, no job, no apartment, and about $3,000 to my name. Sarah, my older sister, swooped in. She and her husband, Mark, had just bought their big new house in the suburbs. "Oh, Tom, this is a sign," she'd chirped. "You'll come stay with us. We have the guest room. You can get on your feet. It's what family does." I was so beaten down, so grateful that I cried. I thanked her. I promised it would only be for a few months. The first month was fine. I looked for jobs, helped with dinner. The second month, Sarah's suggestion came. "Tom, while you're here, would you mind picking up Jake and Leo from school? It would save us a fortune in aftercare." Of course, it was the least I could do. By the 6th month, I'd found a job, the night auditor at a hotel near the airport. The hours were brutal, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m., but the pay was steady. When I told Sarah, she clapped her hands. "That's perfect," she said. "You can sleep while the boys are at school, and then you'll be here in the afternoons to watch them until I get home from my things." I tried to explain. "Sarah, I'll be sleeping from 8 a.m. until about 4 p.m. I can't—" "Don't be silly," she said, waving it off. "You can nap. It'll be fine." It was not fine. I was home by 7:30 a.m. I'd sleep till noon, when Leo, the youngest, came home from kindergarten. I'd watch him until 3 p.m. when Jake got off the bus. I'd make them snacks, do homework, start dinner, and try to sleep for another 90 minutes before leaving for work at 6 p.m. I was living in a permanent fog of exhaustion. Then,
The tough times started for Sarah and Mark. Mark was a sales manager, always stressed. Sarah was a freelance consultant, which seemed to involve a lot of lunches and very little income. "Tom, can you cover the electric this month? Just this once. We're in a tight spot." "Tom, the property tax bill is due. If you could just front us the money, we'll pay you back next quarter." I wasn't just a nanny. I was a wallet, and I was too tired to fight.
The real trap wasn't sprung with requests for money. It was sprung with a tax form. About 2 years into my stay, Sarah sat me down at the kitchen table. She was beaming. "Tom, I have the most brilliant idea. You're a numbers guy. You'll love this." She slid a piece of paper across the table. Articles of Organization. Harris Family Solutions, LLC. "We're starting my consulting business for real," she said. "And I'm going to make you a 10% partner. We'll be in business together." I looked at the paperwork. I was tired, but I wasn't stupid. "Sarah, I'm a night auditor. I don't know anything about consulting." "You don't have to," she laughed. "That's the beauty of it. We just run everything through the LLC. The mortgage interest, the car payments, the utilities, it all becomes a business expense. We'll save a fortune on taxes. All you have to do is, well, nothing. Just keep doing what you're doing. But now," she winked, "it's official." I knew it was fraud. It was a sham corporation designed to write off personal living expenses as business losses. "Sarah, this is risky. This is not how this works." Her face hardened. The sunny older sister vanished. "Tom, you've been living here for 2 years rent-free. You haven't paid a dime for childcare. I'm offering you a way to contribute that literally costs you nothing and helps this family, the family that saved you. Don't you think you owe us a little loyalty? Or would you rather start looking for an apartment? I hear rent is just impossible these days." She had me, and she knew it. I was trapped. I loved my nephews. Where would I go? I was working nights, sleeping in 4-hour chunks. I didn't have the energy to fight, to move, to start over. So I signed. And from that day on, I saved everything. I created a spreadsheet. Column A, date. Column B, expense description. Column C, amount. Column D, payer, me. Column E, LLC write-off, yes or no. Every Venmo request. For the business gas bill, screenshot, saved. Every grocery receipt, paid by me, scanned, saved. Every time she said, "Just cover the mortgage payment. It's for the LLC's home office anyway," I'd make the transfer and I'd log it. She thought her kindness was my weakness. She thought my silence was ignorance. She never realized my silence was documentation.
I drove from her house to a mid-range hotel. I used my credit card to book a room for 1 week. The sense of peace that washed over me was so profound, I almost wept in the elevator. I slept for 12 straight hours. When I woke up, the fog was gone. There was just a cold, clear purpose. I opened my laptop. I wasn't just looking for lawyers. I was looking for sharks. I found a firm that specialized in forensic accounting and tax fraud. I booked a consultation for the next day. I walked in with my accordion file and my laptop. I sat down opposite a woman named Alina Ramirez. She was sharp, dressed in a severe gray suit, and looked like she ate nails for breakfast. "Tell me what you have," she said. No small talk. I laid it out. The LLC agreement, the 8 years of spreadsheets, the folder of receipts, the bank statements showing transfers from my account to Sarah's, labeled mortgage, utilities, car, the screenshots of texts. She told me to label a $500 Venmo consulting fees so she could write it off. This is the month I paid $1,800 for the property tax, which she then claimed as an LLC expense. And here, I said, pulling up the file, is the Form K-1 she's issued me for the last 6 years. She's been claiming I'm a 10% partner, but she's also been reporting my share of the income as 0, while taking 100% of the distributions. Meanwhile, I've been paying her bills. Alina was silent for a long time. She just clicked, read, and cross-referenced. The only sound was her mouse and the occasional tap-tap-tap of her pen. Finally, she leaned back and looked at me. Her expression was terrifying. She was furious. "Mr. Harris," she said, her voice precise, "your sister hasn't just been using you. She's been committing criminal tax fraud, wage theft, and wire fraud, using you as an unwitting accomplice and a victim. She's been writing off the expenses you paid for as her business costs, effectively getting paid twice. And by not paying you a wage for 40-plus hours of childcare a week, she's violated state and federal labor laws." She steepled her fingers. "You came in here asking how to get reimbursed. That's not what we're going to do." "What are we going to do?" I asked. "You're not her partner. You're her employee. An employee she has systematically exploited. We're not going to sue her. Not yet. First, we're going to file." She pulled out a pad. "First, a Form SS-8 to have the IRS determine your status as an employee, not a partner. Second, a Form 3949A, Information Referral. That's an anonymous tip to the IRS. Only we're not going to be anonymous. We're going to attach this entire folder." She smiled, a thin, sharp-toothed expression. "And third, a wage claim with the Department of Labor for 8 years of back pay, overtime, and penalties. By my quick math, she doesn't just owe you what you spent. She owes you what you earned." She paused. "We're looking at a baseline of $240,000 before penalties." While Elena's office prepared the storm, Sarah began to panic. My phone blew up. First came the texts. "Tom, this isn't funny. Get back here. The boys miss you. You left your stuff here. You can't just abandon us. I'm telling Mom what you're doing. This is incredibly ungrateful. After all I've done for you, you'd be homeless if not for me." I screenshotted every single one and forwarded them to Elena. "Keep going," she wrote back. Then came the calls. I let them go to voicemail. "Tom, it's Mom. Sarah called me. She's hysterical. She said you just left, that you're having some kind of breakdown. Please call me. You're scaring us. Sarah needs you. She loves you." That was the family narrative. Sarah was the stable one, the generous one. I was the struggling brother, the one who needed her. She had the status. She had the big house. She had the full support of our entire family. I was the night shift worker who lived in her spare room. Who would ever believe me over her? I didn't call my mother back. Not yet. I couldn't. The final text from Sarah came a week after I left. It was the nail in her own coffin. "Fine. If you're going to be a child, I'm locking you out. And I'm telling Mark you're trying to blackmail us. You'll never see a penny, Tom. I have lawyers. I have this house. I have everything. Who are you? You're a nobody." I sent it to Elena. Her reply was instant. "And we're done. We file tomorrow." The "I have no options" moment had been my entire life for 8 years. I'd been trapped by emotional blackmail, financial dependency, and sheer exhaustion. I thought I couldn't win because she had the house, the husband, and the family on her side. What I realized, sitting in my hotel room with a shark for a lawyer, was that I had something better. I had math. And the IRS always listens to math.
The filings hit on a Monday. The Department of Labor wage claim, the IRS referral. The first call I got wasn't from Sarah. It was from her husband, Mark. He sounded confused. "Tom? Hey, listen, this is weird. I just got a letter from the Department of Labor about unpaid wages for you, and something from the IRS about an audit of Harris Family Solutions.
I told Sarah to dissolve that thing years ago. What's going on? This was the first crack. Mark, who always seemed checked out, was the one who signed the joint tax returns. He was on the hook too. "You should talk to Sarah, Mark," I said, my voice perfectly level. "And then you should talk to a lawyer, separately from hers." I hung up. 2 days later, my mother called. She was weeping. "Tom, Sarah called a family meeting. You have to come. She said you're trying to destroy her, that you filed lies with the government. Tom, how could you? She's your sister." "I'll be there," I said. The reckoning was here. This was the public execution Sarah had planned. Mine. She'd underestimated me one last time. She thought I'd show up alone, tail between my legs, to be shamed and forgiven in front of the family. She was wrong. I didn't just bring myself. I brought Elena.
I walked into that living room, and the air went thin. My parents were on the sofa, looking devastated. My Aunt Clara was there. Mark was standing by the fireplace, his face pale and rigid. And Sarah was in the center of the room, playing the victim. "He's trying to ruin me," she cried as I walked in. "After I took him in, I fed him, I housed him, and this is how he repays me. He's suing me." My father looked at me, his face a mask of disappointment. "Tom, what is this? Your sister said you're demanding hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's extortion." I stood by the door. "Hello, everyone. This is my counsel, Elena Ramirez." Sarah's face went white. Mark actually took a step back. "This is not a family matter, Aunt Clara," Elena said, her voice cutting through the drama. "This is a legal one." "He's lying!" she shrieked. "He's making it all up!" "Then you won't mind if we review the facts," Elena said. She nodded at me. This was my moment. I wasn't the struggling brother. I was the chief auditor. For 8 years, I have been an unpaid, full-time employee of this household. I have worked an average of 45 hours a week as a nanny, cook, and house manager. I have records. "You lived here for free!" I did not. I paid. I paid the electric bill, the gas bill, the water bill, the car insurance. I paid for groceries. I paid, on 14 separate occasions, the mortgage. I unzipped my laptop bag, not the accordion file, a binder. You called a family meeting, Sarah, so let's show the family. I handed copies to my father, my aunt, and to Mark. "This," I said, "is the LLC agreement you had me sign under duress. And this is a spreadsheet of every dollar I spent on this household, totaling $44,218. And this," my voice dropped, "is a summary of the tax returns you filed, Sarah, where you claimed those same expenses as your business deductions. You told the IRS you paid them when I did."
The silence in the room was absolute. My father, an old-school numbers guy, was just staring at the columns. My aunt's hand was over her mouth. Mark's face was the most telling. It had gone from pale to a deep, mottled red. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at his wife. "Sarah," Mark said, his voice dangerously quiet. "I told you to dissolve that LLC in 2018. The accountant said it was a red flag." Sarah sputtered. It's just… Tom agreed. It was our arrangement. He agreed." "Did he agree to commit tax fraud, Mrs. Harris?" Elena asked, stepping forward. "Did he agree to you claiming his labor as a household expense while also not paying him? Did he agree to you filing a K-1 form in his name for a fraudulent partnership? because the IRS and the Department of Labor find this arrangement very interesting. Mark looked at the last page in his binder. The IRS is auditing us? They are, Elena confirmed, and the state is investigating the wage theft claim for $240,000 plus penalties. Sarah finally understood. This wasn't a family squabble. It wasn't Tom being dramatic. This was ruin. She looked at me, her eyes wide with the terror I'd never seen. The smug, complacent sister was gone. In her place was a cornered animal. "Tom," she whispered, "please, you can't. This will destroy us." "You should have thought of that when you told me I should be grateful." My father put the binder down. He looked at Sarah. "You stole from your brother." It wasn't a question. It was a verdict. You stole from him," my father repeated. He stood up. He looked at me, and I saw something I hadn't seen in 8 years. Respect. "Tom, what do you need?" "I need her to pay what she owes." Mark threw his binder into the fireplace. "You're not just my problem, Sarah. You're his," he said, pointing to Elena. He walked out the front door. He didn't slam it. He just left. That was the end of Sarah's reign.
The consequences were not fast, but they were systematic. Week 1, Mark filed for divorce. He cited financial infidelity and fraud. He moved out that day. He also, smartly, filed for full custody of Jake and Leo, stating that Sarah had created a financially and legally unstable environment. Week 2, the IRS froze every asset tied to the LLC. This included the house, their shared bank accounts, and Sarah's car. She was left with her personal checking account, which held $734. Week 3, to avoid criminal charges, Sarah's lawyer advised her to settle the wage claim immediately. The IRS penalties were one thing. Wage theft was another. They had to take out an emergency loan against the house that was now frozen, to pay me. Week 4, the wire transfer hit my account, $150,000. Elena had negotiated. We took less than the full $240,000 in exchange for a lump sum payment and my full cooperation with the IRS as a witness against Sarah, not a partner. The financial victory was clean. I stared at the balance in my bank account. It wasn't just money. It was 8 years of exhaustion. It was every missed night of sleep. It was every time I was called ungrateful. It was vindication in the form of zeros. But the real consequences were just beginning. The IRS audit was brutal. The penalties for 6 years of fraudulent filings were catastrophic. They had to sell the house. Had to. They sold it in a fire sale just to cover the tax bill and my settlement. Sarah, the woman who lived in a 4,000 square foot house, was forced to move into a tiny, run-down 2-bedroom apartment. My father and my aunt, disgusted by her complete lack of remorse, cut her off. They didn't side with me, they just sided with the truth. "You don't steal from family, Sarah," my father told her. "You broke the one rule." She lost her husband, she lost her house, she lost her family support, and she lost her status. She was, for the first time in her life, exactly what she had always accused me of being: broke, struggling, and alone.
I spent a month decompressing. I found a clean, quiet 1-bedroom apartment. I bought new furniture. Not a lot, but it was mine. I slept at night. I went to the gym. I read books in the daytime. One Saturday, my doorbell rang. I opened it to find my nephews, Jake and Leo. They were 16 and 14 now. They looked awkward, holding a cardboard box between them. "Hey, Uncle Tom," Jake said. He was taller than me now.
"Hey guys, come on in." They shuffled inside, looking around. "This is nice," Leo said. "It's clean." "Thanks. What's up?" Jake set the box down. "It's your old stuff from the attic. Dad said we should bring it over. He's in the car." "You can tell him to come up, Jake." "No, he said this was for us." Jake looked at me, his eyes serious, an adult's eyes. "Mom, she's living over on 5th Street now. We see her on weekends. It's weird. I'm sorry, guys, for all of this." Leo, who was always the quiet one, looked up from his feet. "You don't have to be sorry. We knew." "Knew what?" "We knew you were the one paying for everything," Leo said. "We knew you were the one who always made dinner, who was always there. Mom, she was just loud." Jake nodded. "She told us you left because you were ungrateful. Dad told us the truth, that she stole from you. He showed us the numbers. He said we needed to learn what happens when you lie." He pushed the box toward me. "Anyway, thanks for, raising us." My throat closed. This was the support I never knew I had. This was the validation that mattered more than the money, more than the house, more than the family's apologies. They knew. "You guys hungry?" I asked, my voice thick. "Starving," Jake said, smiling for the first time. "Good," I said, grabbing my new keys from my new bowl. "Because today, I'm not cooking. We're ordering the biggest pizza they make. On me."
That night, after I dropped the boys back at Mark's new place, I sat in my quiet apartment. I pulled out the old accordion file. I looked at the receipts, the faded ink, the spreadsheet I had meticulously kept for 2,920 days. It had been so much work, so many years of swallowing my anger, of biting my tongue, of just surviving. There were weeks I'd wondered if I was doing the right thing or if I was just a coward for not leaving. But I had won. Not just the money, I had won my life back. I'd won the knowledge that I wasn't weak. I'd won the understanding that family loyalty is a two-way street. And if one person is doing all the giving and the other is doing all the taking, it's not family. It's a hostage situation. Was it worth it? I looked at my new bank account. I thought about my nephews' faces, finally free from their mother's toxic drama. I thought about the 12-hour shifts I didn't have to work anymore. My old boss from the accounting firm, the one that had laid me off, had heard the story through my father. He called me. "Tom," he'd said, sounding embarrassed. "First, letting you go was the dumbest move I ever made. Second, I heard what you did. That's the best piece of auditing I've ever seen. My tax guy is retiring. I want you to take his job. Full-time, 9 to 5, with a 40% raise from what you made before. You'd be a lifesaver." I started Monday. So yeah, it was worth it.
6 months later, I signed the papers on my own condo. I used the settlement money for a 50% down payment. The mortgage on my own home was less than what I've been paying for Sarah's. My life is quiet now. I wake up at 7 a.m., I make coffee, I go to a job I'm good at, where I am respected. I see my nephews every weekend. Mark and I are not friends, but we're allies. We're allied and making sure those boys grow up to be better than their mother. My relationship with my parents is healing. They're ashamed they didn't see it, but they're making up for it. My father in particular calls me every Sunday just to talk numbers, the market, my 401k, the new car I bought. It's his way of saying, I see you, I respect you. Last month, I was at the grocery store. I turned to the corner of the cereal aisle and there she was, Sarah.
I hadn't seen her since the family meeting. She looked small. The expensive highlights were grown out. She was wearing cheap sneakers. She was thin and her eyes were tired. She saw me. Her face went through a flicker of emotions. Shame. Anger. Then desperation. "Tom," she said, taking a step toward me. "Tom, I have nothing. He took the kids. Mom and Dad won't even… I can't pay my rent next month, Tom. Please." I looked at her. I looked at the woman who had stolen 8 years of my life. The woman who had laughed in my face and called me a nobody. I felt nothing. No anger, no pity, just nothing. I nodded politely. "I'm sorry to hear that, Sarah." And I pushed my cart past her. I kept walking. I didn't look back. That's when I knew I'd really won. Not because I'd ruined her. She'd done that to herself. I won because I no longer needed anything from her. Not an apology, not an explanation, not even for her to feel bad. I was complete. My life was full, and she wasn't in it. That was the real victory. I was finally, completely free. If you enjoyed this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.